It was a typical summer day, hot, a little too hot. The kind of day where the smell of sunscreen and margaritas lingers in the air and everyone seems to be lounging by the pool or out on the beach. But then I got the call. "Your camper's gone," the voice on the other end said, and for a second I thought it was a prank. But then came the photo Karen with her oversized sunglasses, straw hat, and that tank top she always wore, "Hot Mess," written across it. There she was standing proudly in front of my DEA mobile lab margarita in one hand, little dog in the other. She captioned it, "Road tripping in style, baby." That was the moment I realized Karen didn't just steal my camper. No, she hijacked an active federal crime lab, drove it across state lines, and broadcasted it on social media for the entire cartel network to see. It was an absolute disaster. But let's rewind for a minute. I'm not your typical suburban guy with a weekend RV. I work for the DEA embedded in a mobile operations unit. My job involves analyzing substances, setting up quick response command centers, and sometimes even tailing suspects using a custom-built vehicle that on the outside looks like a beat-up camper. But on the inside, it's more high-tech than most police departments' offices. To the neighbors, I was just a mild-mannered federal agriculture consultant who occasionally camped alone to clear my head. I even let my beard grow out and bought a fishing hat to complete the illusion. No one, especially not the HOA, knew the real reason that camper stayed behind a locked fence on my property. Well, no one except Karen. She'd been complaining about it ever since I moved in. "It's an eyesore. It's too close to the street. What are you doing in there cooking meth?" she'd once said, laughing like it was a joke. I always responded politely, "It's not safe to be near it. It's classified government property. Please don't touch it." But Karen, she was the type of person who thought rules were for other people. She'd been fined for planting unauthorized rose bushes, tried to host a block party in someone else's driveway, and once left a flamingo lawn ornament in my flower bed just to mess with me. But that week Karen had been especially nosy. She saw me loading what looked like a cooler into the camper, and of course she had to ask, "Going fishing?" I ignored her. What I was actually loading was a secure sample unit containing fentanyl derivatives from a recent bust. Materials that could be deadly with the smallest exposure. I knew the lab was secure. Biometric locks, hidden GPS backup surveillance. Still, I added a motion-triggered alert to my phone just in case. 3 days later, that alert went off and my heart dropped. The camera footage was blurry but clear enough to show Karen on my property with a toolbox prying open the fence gate and somehow bypassing the entry scanner. Later, I found out she'd seen me punch in the code once while pretending to walk her dog. She'd guessed the rest from the smudges on the keypad. The audacity alone was maddening, but the consequences were far worse. The camper wasn't just a lab. It held active surveillance data on a cartel shipment coming through the Gulf-sensitive files, communication gear, and active tags that could draw retaliation if discovered. If that camper fell into the wrong hands, it wouldn't be just theft. It would be an act of national sabotage. I contacted my handler immediately. "You need to track it now," I said. The line went quiet. Then came the words I never expected. "We've already seen it. It's on TikTok." The video was short but devastating. Karen and her friends laughing and clinking glasses in my camper, raving about how it had leather seats and how it drove like a dream. And in the background, my secure workstation was clearly visible monitors blinking red from unauthorized logins. One of Karen's friends was even using the evidence table as a cheese platter. We tried to trace the signal, but Karen, in her infinite wisdom, had unplugged the annoying beeping thing that was the vehicle's GPS tracker. She had covered the plates with a beach towel. But what she didn't count on was the onboard AI I'd rigged for motion detection and logging. While the GPS was disabled, the system was still storing encrypted bursts to satellite backup. I accessed the feed, and there it was. Beachside motels, diners, a fireworks store, even a stop outside a discount day spa. It was like watching a parody of The Real Housewives go rogue. Meanwhile, the DEA was in full crisis mode. The camper had been logged as temporarily inactive for local analysis, meaning it wasn't under immediate protection. That was my mistake, assuming no one would be stupid enough to steal it. But Karen, she thought she had won a battle against RV hoarders, or whatever HOA rule she imagined applied to me. What she didn't know was that her little act of entitlement was about to collide with a real cartel trail that had just gone hot. The files inside that camper had facial recognition data, license plates, names, and now, because Karen had live-streamed her vacation like an influencer with no impulse control, the people we were investigating were noticing. My feed lit up with comments in Spanish. "That's the van. She has it. Find her." The war room was buzzing. Agents were arguing over whether to intercept now or wait and follow. My handler turned to me and said, "You're going to love this." Karen had tagged herself at a coastal parade in Sabbs County wearing DEA sunglasses she found in my glove compartment. I slammed my hands on the table. She's wearing government-issued gear while parading an active field unit through a crowd. The room fell silent before someone burst out laughing. I didn't laugh. I volunteered to go in personally. I knew the equipment. I knew Karen. But more importantly, I knew this wasn't about revenge anymore. This was about damage control. If even one of those cartel lookouts spotted the camper again, Karen's girls' trip wouldn't end in HOA complaints. It would end in headlines and blood. The sun was high when I boarded the surveillance chopper, and Karen was already posting more videos. One was from inside the camper's shower unit, the other from the rooftop ladder yelling, "America, baby," while waving a beach towel. I leaned back in my seat and muttered, "Karen, you just became the most dangerous idiot in the country." The camper had become more than just a vehicle. It was their personal freedom cruiser. They had no idea they were carrying a ticking time bomb. Volatile narcotics surveillance data, enough classified material to start an international incident. As I approached the carnival site, I watched another video pop up on Karen's social feed. This time, she was dancing with a beach towel on top of the camper, shouting, "I should run for HOA president of the whole coast." My stomach sank. The footage cut off abruptly and everything changed. I wasn't just retrieving the camper anymore, I was stopping a war. The DEA had moved from panic mode to full protocol, and I was running point. Not because it was personal, but because every inch of that camper now carried federal liability. We couldn't risk a full-scale operation with civilians around, especially with cartel scouts in the crowd. If they realized what was inside, they'd make a move fast. By the time we reached Pelican Bay, the atmosphere was all too normal, with carnival rides and families milling about. But hidden behind the laughter and the funnel cakes, there was a federal disaster unfolding. We spotted Karen and her crew in the camper, now fully decked out in glitter flamingos, and a slogan on the side that read, "Karen's Cruise Cabin." I kept my distance, blending into the crowd, but my heart was racing. I knew what was at stake. Karen had no clue she was dancing her way into the eye of a federal hurricane. We couldn't wait any longer. I made the call, and within seconds, the agent sprang into action. Karen, still filming, didn't realize what was happening until I shut down her live stream. The silence was deafening. She scoffed. "Wait, is this about the camper?" I stepped forward, not missing a beat. "You stole a federal mobile lab. You tampered with narcotics. You exposed confidential files, and you brought it all here to a crowded beach." Her face twisted with disbelief, but I didn't wait for an apology. The agents moved in, and Karen's world came crashing down. In the end, she was arrested, the camper secured, and the cartel's scouts captured. The rest of the day was a blur of paperwork processing and cleanup. And as for Karen Wells, she went from HOA queen to federal inmate in just a matter of hours. So what's the lesson here? Sometimes the rules really do apply to everyone, even to the people who think they can break them without consequences. You never know who's watching or what's at stake.